Okay, we're live. Here from the studio in Texas, Helene Gross, and I have Rainer in Norway. You are in Lillehammer, right?
Yes, in the Olympic town.
Yes, Texas is not an Olympic town, I don't know, or Olympic place. I'm in the middle of nowhere in Texas.
That's beautiful.
I'm in between Austin and San Antonio. It's called the Hill Country, and we have we used to have mountains, but now they're hills.
So you're a real hillbilly in that case.
I'm totally a hillbilly. We have a place called Hillbillies of Texas, not far from here. It's a guy called Billy. His place is up on a hill, and it's filled with motorcycles and whatever, and people come all over the world to get his beautiful barbecue. It's like a saloon you have seen in the movies. That's what it is, you know. But it's up in the middle of nowhere. He has like 1,000 acres or something around him.
Another reason for me to come over.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yes, one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, today we are looking at the world scene here, and we are seeing a lot of things happening. And I think we're going to go in on some of the subjects. One of them is Trump and the vaccines.
That is a big one. That is a big one. I got so many questions. People were so disappointed. First, they were very optimistic in what Trump does, you know, because he said this virus will be over and there won't be any vaccine needed, or before a vaccine is ready. And now suddenly he says he will mobilize the military to distribute the vaccine when it's ready. And people are very afraid. One, he's contradicting himself, saying one time this and then the other time that, and people don't know what to do anymore. I mean, you have to think a little bit logic. He's deceiving his enemy. He's playing along a little bit.
Yeah.
There will be no forced vaccination ever on anybody, anywhere in the world, because my strong belief is, and I just talk out of my intuition and what I see, what is happening behind the scenes, that this Fauci and this Bill Gates or whatever, they just don't live that long anymore. I just got these feelings.
Interesting.
They won't be here at the end of this month or next month. They will be gone, physically gone.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of background information regarding what we are seeing here. As many people know, the so-called conspiracy theorists, I'm one of them, but we think outside what the mainstream media is feeding us, because the mainstream media is completely controlled by a few families.
Yeah.
So, of course, if you look a little bit outside of that, outside of the so-called norm, which you have been fed for so many, many years, you're going to be waking up to something, a world that is completely different. And you're going to have to wake up to that. I mean, so what Trump is saying, don't listen to everything he says. Look at his symbolism, okay? Look at his trajectory, which is going on a certain way. This is, okay, we're going this way, but I have to do a little detour here because I have to make sure that everybody doesn't understand exactly where I am actually going. Okay, his name is Trump, okay? He has the Trump card, okay? On so many levels. Am I blindly believing in everything? No, I am not. I am constantly, even Trump, when I'm listening to him, I'm thinking, okay, where is he now? Okay, what could have led him to go that way? Because he was going down the main highway, now he's taking a detour. But he's not really taking a detour.
A lot of people think,
sorry?
Yeah. A lot of people think that he's kind of stupid, you know. He can't formulate a good sentence. He doesn't look or sound presidential at all. That's the game he's playing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the game he's playing, deceiving everybody. If you looked at the press conferences with Fauci, Dr. Fauci, you know, who is a deep state guy, and Trump makes more or less a little bit of fool out of himself the way he speaks, that gives this Dr. Fauci a confidence. And then he starts talking down to Trump, you know?
Good.
In a way that he wants to make him look stupid. I'm the one who is the intelligentsia here, you know?
Give him enough rope and he will hang himself.
Exactly, that's what Trump did.
Yeah.
Of course, even if he's still on his side sometimes with his conferences, but these people are running into the knives by themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what I mean. They really are that stupid. They
And
think
it's
they can do
interesting.
it.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think they have just gotten. They feel they're gods now. They feel they have complete control. At least they were feeling that. I think that there's a shift right now, but they think, oh, we can still make it. We can still make it.
This is
Um,
the satanical principle. It's showing itself now.
yeah.
With Abramovich, the spirit cooking woman, they show the Satanism right out in the open, and they think they are the gods. Nobody can defeat them.
And the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Children in cages. How is that empowering?
that is terrible. They show everybody what they are doing.
What they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so many of you are going to be waking up to the fact that a lot of the people that you might have looked up to are not going to be around either, or are not going to be there, because they are hooked on something called the adrenochrome.
and this is a terrible thing. You explained it what it was just before we started the show. Maybe you should tell everybody.
Okay, so adrenochrome is the way that, and this has not been done only these last 20 years. This has actually been gone way back to, oh, I can't really even say, I don't want to say it, but it has been happening for a long time. The sacrifice since the Mayans, actually.
Yeah.
And where they're drinking the blood. Well, the new version here, I don't know how old that is that the reason why there are between 80,000 and 400,000 children missing every year, and is because the elite, and many of them are needing this adrenochrome. Now, what is adrenochrome? It is it's the blood that has been totally infused with fear. In other words, you torture the baby so much so that when it is of the highest torture, the highest pain, the highest whatever you can even imagine, and I don't even want to really talk about it, then you draw the blood, because all the adrenal fear factor goes into that blood, that they believe, and you can actually see people that have been taking it, they become younger because they take the spirit of the child. But what it does to the person that is taking it, because it is like it is a drug, but it is created by a being, a baby. I'm so sorry I have to tell you this, but it is created. And what happens is when you take that, and I'm not saying I'm not asking you to take, I'm not telling you to take it, please. But when people take that, their own adrenal glands shut down, so they have to have it. And so you're seeing it in the Hollywood sphere. People started suddenly looking really, really old, because if they don't get it, it's like, what is that drug that you have to have all the time once you take it? It's like, it's not LSD. There's another one. But anyway, it's the same. You have to have, you'll do anything for it, because it's
Yeah.
between 80,000, 400,000 children
Yeah.
under the age of 9 are being taken and being sacrificed, and then the organ harvesting and don't even, it's so what's happening now when the lifeline has been cut, in other words, the children are being saved as we speak, and they've been doing this for several years, actually. It's not just the end here. Now they're having a shortage. So now the WHO wants to go in, and what was it you were saying? You were saying something about they wanted to go in and force take the children if they were sick.
They want to go into your homes and take the children out in in a very nice way and put them in quarantine in case they have the corona. This is literally, they are so desperate of getting children, somewhere.
Yeah.
It is really that satanic. If people don't believe me, then wait until the evidence comes up. But can you imagine if now Trump and his administration lays all the evidence out, what would happen? So many people wouldn't even accept it because it's so terrible.
Yeah.
They wouldn't accept it.
Even
It would create chaos.
even I, who have been at least the last 10 years, no, probably the last 15 years, thinking outside of the box and wondering what was really going on in the world. I've always been like that, even though I'm a meditator, la, 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 la. I always do. I mean, I get a lot of the information from there too, but I also go in and check. Even I have had a hard time with some of the things that I have been watching, with some of the real deep truths that are coming out and are out on the internet, unless they take them down, because they're trying to take them down as well. They're trying to cover their tracks. You can even imagine just filming somebody filming you doing these rituals because you think that you're safe.
Yeah.
And now it's coming out. It's coming out to bite you.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
the changes which are coming now, I mean, Satanism is showing itself now in the open. And that means people are waking up. And this is very important, that people are waking up and standing up.
Yeah.
Don't go into a fight with the government. Just go out to the streets and walk, talk to everybody, have some signs, be very quiet otherwise. That shows that you woke.
Yes.
Because the people behind who wants to have the change, they are watching this. And this is very necessary. The more people that are awake, the easier the transition will become.
Yes.
Because when it goes so far that they have to make the change, like in Germany, I just told the people that the military actually has taken over from the 1st of April, the Allied.
Yeah.
And but they keep themselves in the background and let the theater play itself out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And people need to wake up, because if they push through and would have taken over the government from the 1st of April right away, it would have created a chaos. Most of the unawake people that would have gone out to the streets
Yeah.
and started to fight and shouting around, we have a dictatorship or whatever, you know, we can't have. This is the point.
Yes.
The point is that when people call me or write to me, why is this not happening? And you said Washington, D.C. and London City and the Vatican fell. Nothing of that sort happened. I Googled it. My God. How can you Google things which are not official yet?
Exactly. You
There
can.
are no links yet. You
can't.
have to read what's going on behind the scenes. You have to get real sources
Yeah.
to who can explain the political analysis in much more depth
Yeah.
than the mainstream media does.
And that's interesting, because if you were at war, would you tell your opponent what you are actually going to do before you did it? The way we can see that the monetary or the fall has been, look at the flags behind Trump. It doesn't have the fringes on. You can look up what that means.
Yeah.
If they don't have the fringes on, he even has said, because, you know, he will impart information onto us, and we have to listen to what he's really saying, because we can't just assume he's saying something, because if he's saying something, you have to almost, I had to go back and listen to another episode or another part where he was talking, because I was like, what did he say about the vaccines? Oh yeah, he wasn't saying that he was going to mass vaccinate it. No, he's trying to get the military out now, so that people get used to it, so they don't see it as a threat. Now, vaccine and military will obviously wake us up. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here, right? I mean, that's really what he's doing. He's like waking us up, but he's not saying he's going to go out and mass vaccinate us. Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
But he has a reason to get the military out, because he needs to make sure that people understand that it is for their good that the military is out, because there's a lot of things going on underneath. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly, and the mass, and prepare the people for the mass arrests.
Yes,
because they will be coming.
Yeah, yeah, and so, you know, we sit here and we both of us are looking, and we're pretty sure about what we know. I mean, I know, Rainer, you've been looking at this whole scenario for a long time, and myself as well. I used to listen a lot to David Icke, but that was like 20 years ago. I mean, and with the reptilians and all that. Well, that's another thing that's really interesting. We're going to be opening up to something called an interdimensional way of working together with the other dimensions. And I'm just going to put that out there, because I want you to maybe look it up, because we all have to do our own research. We have done research and we have it in our, I'm one of those people that I've lived in so many countries that nobody can really dupe me and say, this is the way it is. I'm looking at it. Okay, that's the way you say it, but it might, I'll make my own opinion. I will look at things and then I'll discern if that works for me. I always feel in my gut, does it work or doesn't, and when the whole thing blew up, but you see what Trump is doing too with when he says vaccine, he's luring the mainstream media to continue that narrative so that he can do something else on the other side. I mean, that's really what he's doing.
It's not only that. I just, while you were talking, I get all these pictures in my head.
Okay.
Because 3D world means we are living in a box.
Yeah.
And we know everything inside the box, in
Yeah.
this cube,
Yeah.
And now we get out of this box and we can overlook the box for the first time. That means we are in 4D. And we have been in 4D for quite some time.
Yeah.
For quite a few years now. And this is why the satanic principle is coming out for everybody to see, because this is in 4D. This is why everybody can see it.
And the churches have been in 4D.
Yes.
I know you guys are going to be mad at me, but that is reality. The churches have been in 4D, and they have had the power for the longest time. But because we are jumping into the 5D, they don't have that power anymore. You guys are waking up to it. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
The negativity is showing for everybody to see. And the negative guys, they know we are going through this fourth dimension. We are already in the fifth, almost entering it.
Yeah.
And they can't keep us down. So they're fighting with everything they got.
And that's why Trump needs to have the military out there.
Exactly.
Because they were planning. I remember speaking to some of the people that I know in high positions around the world, but in the military and in the government, because I used to work up in Washington D.C., so I got some nice contacts up there. But one of the things was, do you guys remember? I don't know if it came to Norway even when they had this. Virginia was about to banish the gun laws. Remember?
Yeah.
And they went to protest, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is not going to end well. Well, what happened was the other side were planning on attacking them. They were planning on having a war, but because at that time, Trump and all the military underneath had stopped it, otherwise it would not have been a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
It would have gone into, and these guys on some level knew it. They came with loaded weapons to a peaceful protest because they knew that it could be bad,
Yeah.
So that says a lot. That says a lot that they can go there, and there was going to be a fight going on, but it was stopped because of the fact that the military was around there making sure that it didn't happen. So I mean, this is great. This is amazing what's going on right now.
It is. And we should never get fooled by headlines in the newspapers or in the media. It is actually just sit back, enjoy, and laugh about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Laurel and Hardy entertainment.
It sure is, and especially if you look at Trump as a chess player, he is actually a really good chess player. And if you look at him and see the way he's moving his pawns and see the way he's moving the whole narrative, and of course he's not alone. He has a lot of people behind him. And he was more or less appointed to do this for the good of humanity. I mean, how was he able to make peace with all these countries? How is he? Oh, and by the way, Jerusalem has gotten their first American embassy now. I think it was yesterday. It was yesterday. Ivana Trump was there, and they were putting that together. So that's amazing. I think that's
another thing why skeptics are out there and saying, but Trump is working together with the Jews, with the Zionists. And Jared Kushner.
He's Jewish.
He's Jewish.
Yeah.
There is a Shabbat Lubavitch sect out there, which is one of the most powerful Jewish sects, which control the Zionism more or less. But they have inside fighting going on as well for quite a long time now. They are splitting up themselves. So what I imagine what will happen is that what Trump is doing is splitting up the Jews. The real Jews, splitting them away from the Ashkenazi Jews, the fake Jews, the crypto Jews, which are all the Zionists, which started all out of the Levites at that time, which corrupted the whole system and gave the Jewish people the belief that they are the chosen ones, which is a complete lie. And out of this system came the powerful organizations like AIPAC, the ADL in the US, and so on, which controlled more or less the politics in the US.
Yeah.
And when you saw when Netanyahu was there on a state visit with Trump, and they were in the Rose Garden, Netanyahu looked like a frightened boy who just peed his pants. And he usually isn't that way.
No.
I mean, Trump has a power, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, I have met him, so I know.
Yeah, right.
I've literally stood and he has a charisma and he has a huge heart, but that is his power. But he has a very, very, very amazing intellect as well. I mean, people don't believe it. That's okay. Let him play his chess. He's playing chess with you guys. Come on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Character-wise, he is. You have to be a bit of a narcissist, a little bit of this and that. Jimmy Carter wouldn't have survived with his presidential way of being. You need to be literally sometimes an a-hole, a little bit.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
No, but can you imagine just going to bed at night if he even sleeps? Can you imagine with this whole thing on his shoulders? Can you imagine going to bed at night?
Well, it would be too much for me, but I think he likes it.
I think he takes it as a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think so. I think you're right. But it's also, well, come on. After getting the presidency, I thought at least he was going to get some kind of good news, right? But what is it they say? Those who laugh last laugh best.
Yeah, and I don't
have
think
the last laugh.
I don't think there will be an election in November. I actually don't think so.
Have you heard him talking about, well, next year our economy is going to be better?
Yeah.
He's not even, he's just, next year our economy is going to be better. That'll be interesting. I'm very intrigued to see how that all plays out.
When Germany gets the peace treaty and becomes a sovereign nation through the Allies, and Putin has to do the first step. He has to activate Prussia again.
Yeah.
Because there is a Kaiser already. He's in his 50s, who is the grandson of Kaiser Wilhelm, and he is ready to take over. Putin will reactivate Prussia, and then this Georg Friedrich will be the head of state, and then the Allies together can offer a peace treaty to Germany. And this will ensure world peace from that day on. And what is fascinating is that Germany will get new borders. Parts of France will go back to Germany, parts of Poland will go back to Germany because everything was stolen.
What about Denmark?
Denmark, I don't know, maybe some small parts or whatever, but this will be a deal what they make, and they think they can push this through without military action. But if there are small nations who go against, they have to deal with Russia, and they wouldn't have a chance, So this is going to be the borders from 1871, and the constitution from 1871 will be back. The constitution from 1871, yes, but the borders will be maybe a little bit different. But then, when this happens, all other nations will become sovereign as well. Because every nation today is run like a corporate company, They're registered as companies. And when you have these constitutions or whatever, except from America, the constitutions in Europe, they are just a playbook for this corporation. It doesn't have value at all. Nothing.
Ooh. Okay, I didn't know that.
In Norway, we have the same constitution, but what we need to have back is the constitution from 1814, because that's the real one.
Mm.
What nobody knows is that the whole history is a lie.
Yeah.
We were told that the German Kaiser in the old days, he was a tyrant, you know, people didn't
Yeah.
have it nice. The opposite was the case. People worked about 20 hours a week. They had loads of money. They paid only 4% income tax, only. And on nothing else was taxes paid. They had so much time on their hands, free time, so they were building castles, they were building roads and bridges and all that. So this is why it looks so beautiful in Europe, you know.
Yeah.
And they had parties, lots of parties. That was, and they were proud of their sovereign, of
Yeah.
their Kaiser, because he had a job, two things he had to take care of: secure the security of the people, and that the people have a good life.
Mm. Yeah.
And in the small countries, they could do whatever they want. The people, they could make their own rules within a society, and all they had their small kings or counts or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
They choose everything themselves, and the same will happen even then in Norway, because in Norway the old Viking history is wrong. I got taught in school that the Vikings were drunks. They plundered
Yeah.
and
Me
raped and
too.
murdered people and all that. This
Me
is
too.
what we got told. It's a complete lie.
Ooh.
These people, the Nordics, they were much closer to God, to the real God,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
this the church couldn't have, because when the biggest army in Germany fell in Hessen, the Vatican ruled all over the world already, but they didn't have Hessen because they was the strongest army. But eventually Hessen fell,
Okay.
and the Vikings in Norway and in Sweden, they got afraid. What they did in Norway, they built ships, these Viking ships.
Yeah.
They traveled out the fjords, and outside the fjords, they were living in these ships. Because the Vatican came to Norway and took Norway over. And by the Vatican, it means the Jesuits. And
Yeah.
the Jesuits are not missionaries.
No.
They are they're trained soldiers.
Mm.
And all these little convents which they built, they were actually casernes, they were military institutions.
Mm.
So the Vikings came in at night, attacked them very brutally, killed them all, and then suddenly went out at sea again.
Okay.
After a few hundred years, I think it was almost 400 years, the Vikings won. The Vatican had to get out again.
Yeah.
And then there came the constitution, which said, there is one paragraph, it said it's not allowed with Jesuits in Norway, and it's not allowed with Jews. But they were written it wrong. They shouldn't have written Jews. They should have written the Zionists or the Levites,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because the Jews themselves got hijacked, you know,
Yeah.
in this. So you know these rules, and they were working behind the scenes to come in again, you know.
Mm.
And when you have a sovereign state, none of this can happen again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is
And
going to
and I
happen.
guess and I guess that many years ago I was checking I went and checked and was looking at how many American. It's interesting you say that, but I'm going to go back into the American part here. How many American military bases do we need? You know how many there were at a certain time? I don't know how many there are now, but of course there are a lot of them that are going to be shifted. There are over 800.
In the world, yeah.
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 I mean, just outside of the US.
Yeah.
What do we needed that for? What is the CIA? Is this really an institution that we need? I think that they're going to be looking through all of that. They're going to be looking through all of these.
Well, Gina Haspel, the head of the CIA, she got flipped towards Trump. And she's working with Trump now. But there is still another CIA, which is the old one.
Yeah.
And the headquarters there is in Switzerland.
Ooh, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
That's where they can hide, right?
Yeah, yeah. And they try to operate from out of there, you know, but they don't have any power anymore.
No.
Because you know why? Because the Vatican does not have any power anymore. And people ask me for truth. And they said, well, on the Vatican newspaper that were written, they wrote themselves that the Pope stepped down officially as a Pope and came back as a Bishop of Rome. That is more than enough evidence that the power is gone. And in newspapers in Germany, bishops are writing now, we are afraid what is happening now. They are trying to create a new world order. We warn the people. They were themselves within that elite,
Yeah.
and now they lost the power. They try to turn around to save their butts, to
Yeah.
keep at least the religion,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how that religion plays out as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
But it's true.
I met many years ago, I met a very, very wonderful gentleman. I was working with film at that time in Sweden, and we got to speak, and he came from Italy and he came from Rome, and he was one of the choir boys. And I could see in his eyes that there was that when we talked about it, there was almost like a filter that went over. And I said to him, how long were you a choir boy? And he was there about 8 years. And I said, but why are you not doing that anymore? And he says, I can't talk about that. And I could feel his hurt. And I've always wondered, I mean, that was many, many years ago. This was in the 80s that I talked to him, you know. This was before you're always connecting the dots, right? And then you see of all these skulls and all that's underneath the Vatican that they're digging up right now, literally digging up. And you're wondering, oh my goodness, what horrible things are happening or have been happening there, you know?
Yeah, yeah. The Satanists, all of them. Complete Satanists. And
Wow.
which, if I tell people that the story of Jesus, who everybody says created a religion, first of all, he didn't want to start a religion.
No.
What about if I tell the people that the story of Jesus comes actually out of Germany, out of Sachsen, the county of Sachsen. Sachsen was before in history a place which stretched from the Pyrenees to the Ural. Almost whole of Europe was Saxon, and these people lived in the higher dimension. They lived in the fifth dimension. It was the last people that fell, because everybody kept on warring them, fighting them, you know,
Yeah.
until they were defeated.
Yeah.
But the story of Jesus comes out of there.
Mm.
And you have a town in Saxon which is called Essen.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that Jesus was a member as well of the Essenes.
Yes.
And Essene, it's just the pronunciation a little different, but it is Essen. It's from this town.
Yeah.
30 kilometers northeast or northwest of this town, there is a very small, tiny little village which is called Bethlehem.
Oh.
And Jesus' name wasn't Jesus, it was Radomir.
Radomir?
Yes. And
okay. That's a
can you
different
imagine?
feeling.
And what the Levites did after Saxon fell, they took all this history and brought it down to the Middle East and changed it and made it their own, corrupted it, and made everybody to believe that Jesus was high up and we had to pray, you know, that we are low. This is what they do, you know. And
Yeah, but that's
everybody
not
in the
what
religion says we have to pray, we have to fear God. I said, don't fear God.
no.
You
No
can be
feeling.
God yourself. You have to, what
Yes.
Jesus told us himself, what I do, you can do, and much more. Why don't we try to become him instead of just
Yeah.
worshiping him? You know, I mean, we people are so indoctrinated with lies.
Yeah. And that is going to be very difficult to undo. There's so
Very
many
good.
stories that we've been told from, and it's generational. It's not just this time. It's you know, but it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And now we've really seen, you know, who has been telling those stories. It's been, you know, very, very scary. But it's interesting that you say that about Jesus, because when I wrote my book and I channeled it about Jesus came in and wanted to dance with me. And it was so funny because I see him coming and I started crying because I'm like, oh my goodness, you are here. And he says, of course I am. And I was so in awe the first time I saw him. But then when he came over to me and he asked for a dance, well, actually he didn't ask for a dance that way. He just says, do you want to dance? And he more or less took my hand and we were dancing, right? And I remember him doing that once. And then next time he came, I said, he didn't actually ask. He just more or less, come on, you know, like that, you know. And I said to him then later, I said, you know what, I wish that you would just, I wish you would just ask first, because You know, it was pretty, it is pretty mind-blowing that you're even here. And why are you here? Is it because I'm writing this book? He says, yes, you're writing a very important book. And I said, okay, let me ask you all the questions that most people would like to ask. Why did you come? What was the purpose? And he said the purpose was to show that we are all healers and we do it even better than him. He was here to show it, and also to open our hearts for love. That those two things are the most important things that we have, and we are capable of doing it. We're going to be much better than him even. That's what he said. And I had a hard time. Luckily, I was not so much into the churches, so I had to, you know, feel bad about it, because I was just, my heart was open, but I was just very wondering why it has been turned around so much. And he told me, he says, you have to be careful with whatever word you ever say. I said, why? He says, because in your day and age, I didn't have this, but in your day and age, you can record it and it's forever. People can listen to it again, right? With me, he says, people didn't know who I was. I could walk around completely incognito in the different towns and people wouldn't know, except for my 12 disciples, except for the people that were there for, you know, to come and listen to me. People wouldn't know. And all I have done is I have spoken the word, and then it has gone on to the other people that have then continued speaking my word. Did I write a Bible? No, I didn't need to.
Exactly. By the way, Jesus had an advisor who was living at his side, and that was Maria von Magdala. Her name is not Maria Magdalena, because this Lena at the end means actually whore. This is what the Levites put onto it to describe her as a whore. It's complete lie. She had the same powers, she had the same knowledge as Jesus had.
Yes.
And they were married and they had children.
Yes.
And these are 144,000 bloodlines which can't be corrupted.
No.
And there are now millions of these with this kind of, and this is why they want to have this chip or this vaccination or this testing of blood, because these negatives, they want to find out who they are.
That's why
they are afraid. They are afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So I had a dream. Actually, it wasn't a dream. I was sitting in meditation again, but it was a very, very powerful meditation. This was when I was finishing my book, and Jesus came through, and he was asking me to come and sit down, and we were going to have a talk, because we used to do that. I would sit, I would bring in the information that I was supposed to write into the book, but sometimes we would have times where we would just be talking, and I have it recorded. This is many years ago. Where he comes to me with a baton. And at that time, I was not really ready for it. I didn't understand what that meant. I said, why are you giving me a baton? What is the symbolism in the baton? And he said, the symbolism is that you're going to continue my work. He says, I want you to continue my work. I said, but I'm not really sure about what that means. I just know that I'm doing as good as I can. He says, that's all you need to do. You just need to open up your heart and you need to help people, because this is what you're doing. But he gave me the baton, and I said, well, I'm female and I'm not, everybody's waiting for you to come back. And then he said one thing, I'm already here in all of you. And that was I've never said this to anyone. I've never even written in my book. I'm just saying it right now. I guess he's bringing this forward right now. Because like you said before, we have God within us. No question about that.
There will be no Messiah, no Mahdi, no Jesus coming back. But what he meant by that is the Christ consciousness is already here.
Here.
We have just to open our hearts to grab it, to take it in within, and our abilities will come.
Yes.
Telepathy will come. Telekinesis will come, teleportation, all that will come in the future. But
Again.
And again, first we have to open our hearts to get used to this energy frequency, to this Christ consciousness, and stay there and not get dropped. And this is what the media are doing by coming out with messages to put us into the cellar, to put us
Yeah.
completely down energetically.
The only thing that happens is when we start getting fear, we get out of our creation mode and go into our survival mode.
Exactly.
And when we get into survival mode, all we can think about is, okay, do I have enough food? Do I have enough this? Do I have water? Do I have this? We can't start opening up to what's the beauty that we're walking into. We're literally immersed in this already now. It's not like we're walking into it. It's here. We just have to open up to it. Like it's opening the front door to it. Let it come in.
Yeah. It's exactly the same way how you can manifest things. I experienced that myself lately, because the ones who are afraid, who wants to experience a crisis, they will.
Yes.
And the ones who stay in themselves, in their heart frequency, they won't live through a crisis at all.
No. And then I don't know why, but I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about the people that have left this planet. I'm thinking about the people that will probably on some level come back, because I'm thinking about all the people that have had illnesses and things like that, and even the COVID, because we have to say that it is a fact. It is not as big as we thought it was, but it is a fact. It is something that we're having to deal with. And as we can manifest sickness, we can also manifest health.
Exactly.
It really, really has to do with the choice you're making every day, the choice to be happy, the choice to eat the good rainbow colored foods, the choice to go out in the sun, the choice to live a full life, not just to exist.
Yeah, exactly. It is easy. It is actually that easy. Mm-hmm. As I say, I'm the happiest man in the world. And every day I fall in love. Every day. Every morning I look into the mirror.
Oh, I love it. Yes, yes. I love it. Yes. No, exactly. That is it. I mean, we can wake up in the morning and think, oh, my eyelashes are off to the side, like sometimes they're with me. Or, oh my goodness, this. And then you can look at it like, that looks actually funny, But you know what? I like what I'm seeing, because it's the soul coming out, right? It's that beauty of us coming out.
Just try to get up in the morning, you people out there, if you're watching us. Stand in front of the mirror in the morning and make some jokes about yourself, with yourself. How uplifting this is for the rest of the day. Your cells are in a higher frequency where you can make jokes about yourself.
Yeah.
When you just stand up and the hair is like that or whatever. Make some jokes,
Yeah.
And what the negative side can't handle is humor. Yeah. And laughter can't handle it.
I know.
Killer frequency for them.
Our cells, when we laugh, are producing oxytocin for like 24 hours after we've laughed. Yeah. So we need to laugh one time a day, and then you have that beautiful energy going through 24 hours. Once a day. Just laugh once a day, that's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's life is so easy, and it's beautiful.
Yes, and I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I want to tell you guys, every one of you, that thank you so much for listening. Help us by, liking our channels, sharing, do everything, because if you like the message that we're coming with, please share it with the world, because that is how we can help. Every one of us can help that way as well. And if you feel that we need a cup of coffee or something else, you can always donate to us as well.
Yeah. A million here and a million there,
Hey, and if you want us to come visit your country as a duo, going and actually having a thing, I'm putting it out there right now, okay?
Yeah.
if we have organizers here that are wanting to put us together and have a panel where we can all ask questions, or we can go travel somewhere that you're going to put up an event, we are open to that completely, because we can
Absolutely.
talk about anything in the whole world here, because
Absolutely.
each one of us is taking it down from our hats, you know.
Wait, next time maybe you see us with a tinfoil hat. We forgot about
I
this,
know
huh?
we forgot about that. We needed to do that just for the fun of it. That probably would get a good traction. We would have to have, we have to have a humoristic show. So let's do the tin hats. I think I have tin out there. I mean,
I buy some tin and we make a hat next time.
okay, sounds great. Okay, my dears, I love you guys. Thank you, Rainer. This was wonderful, and I'm wanting you guys to know that we love you. Okay, we're doing this for you, for the betterment of you.
Indeed. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.